Hi guys, thanks for watching. So what we're going to do today is we know the percent, we know what the percent is equal to. Now we're trying to find the whole. We're trying to figure out what number is the total when 27 is 45% of it. So again, I want you to just think like logically, what must the answer be? So I know that the answer must be more than 27 because 27 is the part and I'm trying to find the whole. And the other thing I thought about was, well, 45% is pretty close to 50%. So I want to keep that in mind. So since those are close together, the answer has to be close to what double of 27 is. So 27 times 2 is 54. So my answer, like as an estimate, is 54. Okay, so I want you guys to keep that in mind. If you get a number that's like way, way off from 54, way too small or way too big, then you know that you did something wrong and that you need to try a different strategy. So the first strategy we're going to use is unit rates. Okay, so we're going to find some helpful percentages in order to figure out what 100% is. So this time we're looking for 100%. Okay, so we're going to start with what you know. You know that 45% is 27. So a helpful percentage you could find would be 1%. Because if you know 1%, then you can get to 100%. So how to get from 45% to 1%, you have to divide by 45. And if you do that on that side of the equation, you have to do it on this side of the equation as well. So I'm going to take my calculator. I'm going to do 27 divided by 45. Luckily, it gives me a pretty short decimal, 6/10. So now that I know what 1% equals, I can use that to find what 100% equals. And how do I get from 1% to 100%? Well, I can just multiply by 100. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. Maybe you already know what 6/10 times 100 is. The shortcut is you just move the decimal point twice. That gives you 60. Okay, so the whole equals 60. And is that pretty close to our estimate of 54? Yeah, that's really close. So my answer seems to make sense. I'm going to do it with a second unit rate. Instead of 1%, I want you to use, let's do 5%. It's a pretty handy one. Okay, so to get from 45% to 5%, I have to divide by 9, because 5 times 9 gives me 45. So again, I have to do that over here too. I have to also divide by 9, so let's see, 27 divided by 9. Oh, I didn't need a calculator for that. That's just 3. Okay, so from here, you're still trying to find 100%. That's the goal. So to get from 5% to 100%, you have to multiply by 20. Because 5 times 20 gives you 100%. So I have to do the same thing over here, times 20. And 3 times 20 is just 60. And I got the same answer again. So the total is 60. Okay, so that's using unit rates. The next strategy we're going to use is, what's the next one? Oh, the next one's going to be proportions. I'm going to do this. Make sure you can see that okay. Yep. Okay. So this time with the proportions, you're looking for the whole, or the 100%. Right? So with proportions, you always want to do part over whole, right? And we know that the part is 27. We know that's part of the whole. Okay, so we're going to use that. So we're going to set up a proportion with 45%. That's 45 out of 100. In other words, that's the percent, right? And this time, since we're looking for the whole, I'm going to make that an X. And I know the part already. The part is 27. So that's how I set this up. Okay, so we're going to cross multiply. We're going to use this trick. That means that that's 45 times x, and that's also 27 times 100, okay? In other words, that's 45x equals 27 with 2 zeros, 2,700, okay? So to figure out what x equals, since this is 45 times x, I have to divide by 45 on both sides, right? And 45 divided by 45 is just 1. So all I'm left with is x, or 1x. And then 2,700 divided by 45, that gives me 60. And is that pretty close to 54? Yes, it is. That's very close to it. So my answer seems to make sense. It's a reasonable answer. Okay? Next strategy we're going to use is, I'm going to use an operation next. Okay, so we're going to take the part, which is 27, and we're going to both multiply and divide. I want you to try it both ways to see which way gets you a reasonable answer. Okay, so if you remember, 45% is this much as a decimal. So 45% as a decimal is 45 hundredths. Those things are equal to each other. So what you're going to do in your calculator is you're going to multiply 27 and 45 hundredths, and you're going to divide 27 divided by 45 hundredths. I want you to see which way gives you a more reasonable answer that's closer to 54. One's going to give you a really outrageous answer, and one's going to get you really close to 54. So 27 times 54 hundredths equals 14.58. That's not very close to 54, so let me try it the other way. 27 divided by 45 hundredths. Oh, and that's 60. Well, that's a lot closer to 54, isn't it? So the reason I tell you to do it both ways is because I have to do this a lot. When I'm not sure, am I supposed to multiply by the percent or divide by the percent? I have to think of what's a reasonable answer, and then I try both ways and see which one makes more sense. So in this case, dividing gave me an answer that made more sense. It actually gave me a number that was bigger than 27. When you divide by something that's smaller than 1, like 45 hundredths, you actually get something bigger. And when you multiply by something that's less than 1, you actually get something smaller. It's the opposite of how regular, like whole numbers work, numbers that are bigger than 1. Okay? All right, last strategy. I'll flip this over. Last strategy is we'll use a number line. Okay, so on the number line, we'll have percents and whole numbers, 0%, 100%. And I know I'm going to put 50% in there because that's always pretty easy to place right in the middle. And I know what 45% is. So that's right around here. I'm not going to mark it just yet because I want to make my line a little bit neater. But this is what I'm looking for. I'm going to call it X just so I remember that that's what I'm looking for. So I can think about, let's see, that's 0. Let me think. Let me put 45. I'll break this into fifths because 45 I can break down into fifths pretty easily. So let's see. I'll do tens first. So 10, 20, 30, 40. So those are tens, and then I can do fifths. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. So that's my 45% right there. And I know that that's 27. That number is 27. So let me think. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if I take 27 and divide it by 9, that'll tell me what 5% is. So 27 divided by 9, let's see, that's 3. So that means that 5% is 3. So every time I'm going up by 5%, I'm counting by 3. That means every time I go up by 10%, that's double 3, so that's 6. So maybe I can use that to get me to 100%. So let's see. So 50%, that must be 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%. I didn't do a very good job there spacing out my lines, but that's okay. Okay, so now I know that every 10% I go up by 6. Now I know that, I can use that to count up to 100. So 6, next is 12, 18, what comes next? 24, right? 6 more gives me 30, then 36, still counting up by 6, then what comes next? 42, 42, then 48, then it's 54, and then it's 60. There we go. Okay, so 100% is 60, okay? And that makes sense because of how close it is to 54. My estimate and my actual answer are pretty close, okay? So those are 4 strategies for how you can find what 100% is when you know what the percent is. You know the part, okay? Thanks for listening. Bye.